Setting up your meeting for YouTube Live. Done. Redirecting to YouTube. And here we are. We're live again. Fantastic. So
Okay.
welcome, Ryan.
Well, this is take number two live. We started our normal show at 6 a.m. this morning and hit a bit of a technical glitch that we've never had before. Some software not getting along with each other. So we're gonna do a second live show here, and we'll keep it a little shorter to honor our container here. All right. So how you doing, man?
And I feel like, okay, what did we just talk about? And where should we start off?
Right.
It's
We're
the
gonna.
fun stuff about technology.
Yeah. Right. Well, the main theme was yes, ways that we've found to connect with our kids. I guess that presumes that it's important to connect with our kids. I don't know if anyone's going to argue with that, but just yes, how important it is, and then also ways that we've found that it's worked for us. Because I think, I do think it's very kid dependent. I think it's age dependent. You know, can even be gender specific. Um, yeah. What are your thoughts?
Well, one thing that just popped up in my head as you were mentioning that was because we talked about this back when we were recording before that just our kids just love being with us. Like they love being in the same room as us. Like it doesn't matter what we're doing as long as we're there. Like from the time that they were little, just the fact that I had my hand on my daughter's chest or I was like caressing her head while I was reading or something like that. Like that was just a point of connection that our kids loved. And something that happened just a couple of days ago. So they're kids on spring break, so they're off their routines and everything's gone a little haywire. And so the kids are being a little testy. And my wife was working downstairs in her office, and I was upstairs with the kids, and I was just trying to do a bit of work on my laptop. And both my kids just wanted to be just they just want to sit on my lap while I did work. My 8-year-old, my 5-year-old, who are getting to be a bit too big to sit on my lap and me be on my laptop at the same time. But they just want to be on my lap. Like they just want to or if I say, okay, like you got to get off. So they sit on the chair next to me and they like cuddle up to me and like hold my shoulder and put their hand or their head up on my shoulder and they just want to like be near me. And I love that. I love that about the kids. I will take that for as long as it will uh it will happen.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I know, and yeah, I think we, I think we even touched upon this in the last part of our show. But just yeah, the science of, I'm not an expert in this, but I've read a lot of books on this and experienced it myself. Just the importance, I mean, evolutionarily wise, scientifically, of just touch, right? Like just how much that does help our kids with their nervous systems and with just being calm, relaxed, feel safe, feel connected. I mean, one of my favorite books was "Hold Me Tight" by the late
Mm.
Dr. Sue Johnson. It's also in this latest book I just finished, the Your Brain on Love by Dr. Stan Tatkin. Just how much, and sometimes maybe sometimes I forget it or don't even realize it. But just how important, yeah, just being with someone that you care for and being able to have some sort of physical contact, like you say. Sometimes it's just a hand, and sometimes it can be too much for someone. If they're going through a lot, if the kid's having a really hard time, sometimes they just want you to be there with them. We talked about that a little bit in one of our shows here. When my son had a really tough time at one of his competitions, but just yeah, being able to be there for them, holding space for them, but but then if possible, the whatever the whatever is appropriate for what's going on, being able to give them some element of touch, just how important that can be.
hmm Yeah, we touched on there's an older book called the Five Love Languages, and that all of us require and receive and give love in different ways. And so often as adults, we will miss the mark in that we're trying to we think that we're expressing our love to somebody, but it's not in a way that the other person is really receiving it. So we have to match the way that we give to the way that they receive. And so there's the five languages. One is physical touch. The other is words of affirmation. So saying nice things to them, telling them how much we value them and we love them, and tell them great things about themselves. There is acts of service, so like doing something for the other person, taking out the garbage or making them some meals or whatever it is. And then there is quality time, which our kids, I think, is one of the big ones for most of children, is just being there with them, being present with them. And then the last one is just gifts, giving them stuff. And so, yeah, so like physical touch, words of affirmation, quality time seems to be for most kids, like that seems to be the biggest ones.
Yeah. Um, well, and so yeah, going back to the different ways to be able to connect with our kids, like you said, yeah, how the importance, I think as you were sharing, and I definitely agree, like the main driver of this is just wanting to be able to, well, a knowing that connection is important, b being able to figure out what that is, and then a lot of it comes from, okay, just being present. Like start there. Like are you there? Can you give them that time? Are you present? You're not thinking about work or thinking about something else. You're actually there with them. And then from there, being able to discover, okay, well, what's going to create an even more meaningful connection? Like, for my 7-year-old right now, she loves games, so for a big thing for her is being able to play, Sorry or Clue or a board game with her. That's a really fun way that we get to connect, because from there, you're chit-chatting about some other things, but at least you're spending some quality time there. That's definitely a way that I found with her. And, well, she has many ways that she likes to have connection. She's a big cuddler. We'll watch a movie, play a board game, going out to a playground, food. I mean, there's many things on my list that work. Creating something like we made some healthy ice cream last night. One of our favorite recipes is, I don't know if you guys do this one. It's frozen bananas. We put bananas that have gone a little bit ripe into the
Mm.
freezer, frozen bananas, a little bit of milk, and some blueberries, and blend that up. And it's amazing how close it is to ice cream. But anyways, we'll connect over making that together. So now we're having some ice cream at the kitchen counter, and just talking about, I don't even remember what, but there's another way that we get to connect over food and making that together.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, there's some more on my list. Yeah, what are your thoughts on age appropriate or things that you found that work with your girls?
Yeah, one thing that I found really great that we did when we did an well, not experiment, we did something a few days ago during their spring break over the weekend that I thought was so great is that so my daughter, my oldest one, she said, "Hey, I want to do something to celebrate the start of spring, like the first day of spring. So what can we do?" And it turns out it didn't happen for, a few days after that. But I just let them lead it. I said, "Okay, well, what do you want to do?" And she's at first she's like, I don't know. What should we do?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know. Think something. Like think of it." And what they landed on, this was in the evening, we are having this discussion, and the next morning she came up with this idea. She wanted to make her own board game.
Mm.
And so I actually took an old box that I had one of my computer monitors, or the box that the computer monitor came in, and we cut it open. So there was just like there was, not a super deep sides, but there's like a bigger box, probably 3 feet wide. And both kids drew with their pastel things and their markers and stuff like that. They drew like a bunch of spaces all around the board, and then the rest of the box, and then the rest of the box they decorated in like a spring forest theme. So we made trees, and they drew in like we built a little bridge out of popsicle sticks, and we did all this whole thing. And they made things out of clay, and my daughter made these little figurines, these little gnomes, garden gnomes, out of clay. These little things. Those are the little game pieces. And then we made little cards. We just cut up some construction paper, and So they just essentially made up this game where so we have to roll a dice and then we go around and then we pick a card up and then the card tells us, oh, and then they made these little my daughter made these little watermelon pieces out of clay, like a bunch of them, like probably she probably made 40 of them, these little pieces of watermelon. And so every time you land on one of the pieces, you pick up a card, and then you get to pick up some watermelons, and then you go all the way around the board, and then by the end of the game, like whoever gets to the end first, then you have to count all your watermelons, and whoever has the most watermelons wins.
Mm.
And it's so fun, and they figured this whole thing out themselves. It took them, well, us, I don't know, they were working on it for 5 hours,
Wow.
like all morning, from yeah, probably 8 a.m. till like just after lunch. They were working on this thing. And I would help them every so often. I had my couple little tasks. I was cutting through cardboard, which was harder for them to do. So I cut all the cardboard clouds out of the box. But they led this whole thing, and I was so proud of them. Like it was just so neat to see them, like to give them the okay, like you've got to figure this out yourself. Like you have a creative side, you have an imagination, like use it. And I think so often the especially now with we see stuff online about all these like cool things that parents will do, all these different crafts and stuff like that, that we
Mm.
think that it's our job to direct our kids' play. And just like ourselves, like, and I always come back to this, like we are just, we're just big kids. Like we think that somehow we're different than them. But for us, like we don't like this idea of being bored. And so we now have these things called our phones that we just doom scroll on whenever we feel bored. And rather than doing that, like just being in the state of like, oh, okay, I'm bored, like letting your imagination go, like thinking about things, thinking deeply about things, like that is such a valuable experience and such a valuable exercise. And so for our kids, I was like, no, like I really, I had some ideas about stuff that we can do. It was nowhere near to the level of creativity that they came up with on their own. And the neat thing was that whatever they wanted to do, I was like, okay, yeah, like go for it. And they kind of figured it out themselves. And they were way like it turned out amazing. Like 10x what I thought it was going to be.
Right.
And just allowing them to lead it, allowing them to, and just to kind of supporting, and you've talked about this a lot, and is just finding what they're passionate about, finding what they're excited about, and just like diving deep into like go just going with it, and just allowing them to lead it, and just supporting that the best that we can.
Right.
And that was, I think, really, really cool it was a great bonding moment for me and with my daughters. Because now we have this game, and like my oldest one especially is like, she's like, okay, well, I can't wait to have friends over and I'll show them how to play the game. And she came up with the name of it. I can't remember the name of the game now, but yeah, like I was just so proud of them and so excited that yeah, we did this thing together.
Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, and like you said, you get to connect with them over it. They're getting to connect with each other, doing something creative like this, the siblings, and then yeah, letting them direct their own play. I mean, I can remember doing that a lot as a kid, but nowadays you're right, it can be, there's so many ways that their play can be directed for them. I mean, I know with my kids, they got so many options. There's so many things that they can do that's already done for them, like obviously the games are already set up for them, but to be able to create their own games with their own imagination, I mean, that's priceless, man. That's awesome.
Hmm. Yeah, we had a great time.
Um, all right. Well, let's see. I'm going to go back to my list here. In terms of ways to connect with other kids, well, games. So yes, making your own games, playing games with them. I mean, even video games. I do have a really good time playing with my youngest. She's got the Switch and she loves this new one. She's got Super Mario World. So she loves it when I play with her because then I can pass all the hard levels, and so we have a good time connecting with that. With my eldest, sorry, my son, he's got the Xbox, so we'll play. We'll connect through games there. So personally, that's something that I enjoy, that they enjoy, that we can connect over. And I also think it's interesting. It's this kind of, it's not the same with adults. Like with adults, connection happens more, definitely more so with eye contact, face-to-face conversations. This is a huge part of, I was mentioning him before, Dr. Stan Tatkin's work is just how
Hmm.
important it is as adults to make eye contact. Like, well, I mean, we're not really doing it through Zoom here, but real face-to-face eye contact, how valuable that is for couples, for adults. But it's not always the same with kids, especially with teenagers, that too much eye contact can feel threatening for them. So I do
Mm.
have on my list like playing games. If we're sitting side by side, I've found sometimes like driving, I can find, a way to really connect well with my kids, but without it feeling too intrusive.
Mm,
Sometimes,
interesting.
if you're staring at them too much, that can feel uncomfortable. That can feel a little too much for them. But, when I'm driving, especially with my, eldest teenager now too, I'm not going to force the conversation, but I do find that sometimes it can unfold, and we can have some really great conversations on long drives, but just being able to be side by side. So that's another way is I do like driving a lot with my kids because I do find I get to connect with them in the car.
Mm-hmm. That's fascinating. I never considered that. Yeah, the eye contact thing. And I think there's something about that too. Just even as adults, like we're going, say like a concept that I learned from a mentor of mine years ago, like the idea of walk and talks. So rather than like sitting face to face and talking, just like going for a walk and doing the same thing. And there's something about moving our bodies, about I think yeah, just even conceptually, just we're going in the same direction here.
Mm,
We're
yeah.
not, it's not, it's not facing, it's moving together.
Totally. So, I've got hikes on here too for sure with the kids. That's something that I love doing with them, getting out in nature, connecting with them. And maybe with adults, so if everything's good, if you're just talking about the sunshine and the nature, I guess in Stan's work, the side by side walk is great. His big thing is anytime you're probably getting into something that's a little more contentious or has a potential for conflict, that's where he says face to face is so much more important because when you make that eye contact, with the right tools, like I've already learned a lot from his work. When you're actually able to see each other, you can see how you're, if again, if you're talking about something that has the potential to create conflict, by being able to see your partner and see into their eyes, you can see exactly how your movements, your words, your tone is affecting them.
Hmm.
And his whole thing is being able to create care and safety for each other. So you're constantly looking for, oh, okay, I said something there that really I didn't realize this. I didn't mean to, but I can see that you had a reaction there. Let's talk about that. I
Yeah,
don't I
yeah.
don't want that to go. But when you're talking side by side about something and you're in something that could be conflictual, then it can be not very helpful because you're getting just little glimpses of each other, but
Right.
sometimes that'll put you potentially more in a threat response if you're not fully engaged with what's going on with your partner in that moment. So,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
just it's context for the best way to create that kind of connection with whoever it is, whether your kids or your spouse, and what's the right way to do that.
Yeah, and I think we all instinctually do that with, well, especially with our kids, is that, we're all kind of doing stuff but when something goes awry and we need to either discipline them or like they did something or said something or, like we'll get in their face. Like we'll just like, hey, and like look at me, like make eye contact. Yeah, there's something really special about, but and I guess really connecting about, yeah, seeing the other person take in what you're saying, take in what they're saying, and being able to see and model their body language, all that.
Yeah. Let's see, we got on here games, hiking, food that we talked about. Um, well, even yeah, I guess this is kind of related to, but like joining them and doing something that they're already loving, like like you're saying, like your daughter's making that game. For my youngest, it's if she's doing some art, just being able to join, not intrusively, but just being there in that same space, like with them and being able to create connection through something that they love that they're doing already, right? Because now they feel comfortable, they feel safe. They're more going to be open to maybe talking about stuff. Yeah, date, you know, whether it's daddy-daughter dates or, you know, a time where you're going to take, like, I know I did this a lot with my eldest, where we would go out just for noodles or for a treat or some way that just, you know, being able to create that connection, just the two of us, how important that is just to be able to create, yeah, that time and space where there aren't any other distractions, there isn't anyone else, you know, the other siblings and whatnot. Um, yeah, those are most of the things that I had on my list.
Hmm. Very cool. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Yeah, and I think just the to me, always the overarching principle behind everything is just whatever it is that we do, is that we do things with intention. Is that we just like we're present. It's not just something that we were kind of doing on the side. It's like we're there. Like what if we're going for a walk, we're going for a walk. If we're playing a game, we're playing a game. And I've been told a lot from my kids, and it's like I'm trying to catch myself when they have to tell me, like when they have to try to get my attention twice, like when we're doing something and then all of a sudden like I'm distracted by my laptop or by my phone and they're like, Papa, Papa. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, I gotta check myself here.
Hmm. Yeah, right. Well, and showing them the importance that, yeah, you want to be, you know, that they're important to you, not this other thing. And
Mhm.
bringing it back to that so that they get that awareness. Um, yeah. Oh, that's all I got on my list here.
Well, yeah, so great little second try short episode.
Yes, at least we wanted to get a complete episode. The last one, we spent about 5 minutes trying to troubleshoot our tech problems, which we've never had before at the beginning. So we're not going to air that one. Maybe at some point in some blooper reels or something. But at least this one we got as the complete show here. So awesome.
Yeah. So just a reminder for everybody, don't update your software before you go live. Just
Right
wait.
before.
Maybe just wait.